the year of our Lord 1348. The Black Death tightened its grip upon Europe, its icy tendrils reaching even the most secluded corners of the land. Within the hallowed walls of a Benedictine monastery in England, life continued its measured pace, a stark contrast to the chaos raging beyond. Here, Brother Thomas Aquinas, a man dedicated to God and scholarship, toiled in the scriptorium, unaware that his life was about to be irrevocably altered. He was tasked with transcribing ancient texts, preserving the wisdom of the ages against the ravages of time. One day, while meticulously copying a treatise on botany, his attention was drawn to a series of cryptic symbols embedded within the margins, seemingly unrelated to the main text. These symbols were unlike any he had encountered before, hinting at something far more profound. Intrigued, Thomas consulted the monastery's extensive library, poring over countless volumes of alchemical texts, ancient philosophies, and forgotten languages. Days turned into weeks as he became increasingly absorbed in the pursuit of understanding these enigmatic markings. He felt a pull, a divine whisper urging him to decipher their meaning. Slowly, painstakingly, he began to unravel the code. The symbols, he discovered, were not mere decoration but fragments of a recipe, a formula for something called aurum vitae, the gold of life, an elixir promising immortality. The implications were staggering, bordering on heretical. Doubt plagued him. Was it a divine gift or a dangerous temptation? Could man truly cheat death without offending God? The Black Death raged outside, a constant reminder of mortality's cruel grip. Perhaps this aurum vitae could alleviate suffering, offer hope in a world consumed by despair. Yet the pursuit of immortality felt inherently wrong, a challenge to God's divine plan. He sought guidance in prayer, beseeching God to illuminate his path. He wrestled with the moral implications, the potential for misuse, the arrogance of defying death. Yet the images of the sick and dying, the faces ravaged by the plague, haunted his waking hours and filled his dreams. Driven by a mixture of compassion and intellectual curiosity, Thomas resolved to continue his quest. He believed that knowledge, even the knowledge of immortality, could be used for good. He began to meticulously transcribe the fragmented recipe, piecing together the scattered clues like a complex puzzle. The recipe was incomplete, a series of riddles and veiled instructions hinting at rare ingredients and complex processes. It spoke of the philosopher's stone, the Red King, and the tears of the moon, alchemical metaphors that required further investigation. Knowing the potential danger of his discovery, Thomas concealed the transcribed recipe, hiding it within the pages of a heavily annotated copy of De Rerum Natura by Lucretius. He knew that his pursuit of the aurum vitae would be fraught with peril, and he needed to protect his work. He knew he could not complete this task alone. The fragmented nature of the text suggested that the complete recipe was scattered, perhaps hidden in other libraries or alchemical workshops across Europe. He would need to leave the safety of the monastery, venturing into a world ravaged by plague and intrigue. Under the guise of a pilgrimage, Thomas prepared to depart. He gathered his meager belongings, a quill, ink, parchment, a small book of psalms, and a burning desire to unravel the secrets of the aurum vitae. He knew the road ahead would be dangerous, but the potential reward, the alleviation of suffering and the unlocking of divine secrets, was too great to ignore. With a final glance at the familiar walls of the monastery, Brother Thomas Aquinas stepped out into the world, embarking on a perilous quest that would test his faith, his intellect, and his very soul. The aurum vitae beckoned, promising salvation and immortality, but at what cost? Only time would tell. The parchment crinkled under Brother Thomas's touch. Florence. The fragmented text mentioned a Florentine apothecary, a man whispered to possess forbidden knowledge. It was a dangerous path, venturing into the heart of the plague, but the allure of the Aurum Vitae and the potential to alleviate suffering was too strong to resist. The journey was arduous. Villages lay abandoned, their inhabitants claimed by the pestilence. The air hung heavy with the stench of death, a constant reminder of the fragility of life, the very thing he sought to defy. Florence. Even from a distance, the city bore the scars of the Black Death. The air was thick with the smell of smoke, a grim testament to the countless lives lost. The once bustling marketplace was now a ghost town. Shops were shuttered, homes abandoned. Fear was a palpable presence, clinging to the very stones of the city. Desperate measures born of desperate times. The flagellants sought to appease God through self-inflicted pain, believing the plague to be divine punishment for their sins. Information was currency in this ravaged city. Discreet inquiries led Thomas to a clandestine meeting, a whispered exchange of rumors and suspicions. The name Niccolo Flamel was mentioned, a Parisian alchemist rumored to have achieved great feats. The apothecaries were the healers, the last line of defense against the relentless disease. But even they were overwhelmed, their knowledge and remedies proving insufficient against the plague's relentless advance. The library, a sanctuary of knowledge, had been abandoned. Thomas searched tirelessly, hoping to find any mention of the Aurum Vitae, any clue that could lead him closer to his goal. The air was thick with the smell of decay, both of the books and the city outside. Death was a constant companion. Funeral processions were a daily occurrence, a grim reminder of the plague's relentless toll. Each passing coffin carried away not just a life, but a piece of the city's soul. In the face of such devastation, even faith wavered. Thomas sought solace in prayer, questioning the divine plan, wrestling with the ethical implications of his quest. Was he chasing a miracle or a delusion? Rumors persisted of secret societies, alchemists who sought to exploit the plague for their own gain, searching for cures or worse, weapons. The line between science and heresy blurred in the face of such desperation. Florence offered few answers, only more questions. The trail led north towards Paris, towards the enigmatic Niccolo Flamel. The quest for the Aurum Vitae continued, fueled by hope and shadowed by doubt. Brother Thomas pored over the translated fragments, the Florentine apothecary's name, Giovanni Battista, resonating in his mind. Florence was a dangerous place now, consumed by the plague, but the text hinted at vital knowledge residing within the apothecary's workshop. The decision was made. He would travel to Florence. The dangers were immense, but the potential reward, a cure, or at least understanding for this pestilence, outweighed the risks. He secured permission from the abbot for a pilgrimage, carefully omitting the true nature of his quest. Lady Isabella de Valois watched as the plague ravaged her household. One by one, members of her family succumbed to the sickness, leaving her desperate for any means of salvation. Rumors of a monk seeking ancient remedies reached Isabella's ears. She dispatched messengers, her family's wealth and influence paving the way to locate Brother Thomas. Thomas was intercepted before he even reached the coast. He found himself escorted, not to a ship bound for Italy, but to a grand estate, the seat of Lady Isabella de Valois. "Brother Thomas," Isabella began, her voice laced with urgency, "I know of your studies. I, too, seek a way to combat this dreadful plague. Tell me of this Aurum Vitae." Thomas, initially hesitant, found himself drawn in by Isabella's genuine desperation. He cautiously revealed what he knew, emphasizing the speculative nature of his research. Isabella listened intently, her mind already racing with possibilities. "Florence, you say? This apothecary, Giovanni Battista. I will provide you with safe passage, resources, whatever you need. In return, you will share your findings with me." Thomas grappled with the ethical implications. Sharing such knowledge with a noblewoman who might use it for her own exclusive benefit troubled him. Yet her resources were undeniable, and time was of the essence. "Brother, I understand your concerns. I pledge to use this knowledge for the good of all to alleviate suffering. I will not hoard this elixir, should it exist, for myself alone." Reluctantly, Thomas agreed. He saw the genuine anguish in her eyes, the desperation born of loss. Perhaps together they could truly make a difference. "Very well, Lady Isabella, I accept your offer." Isabella smiled, a rare and fleeting expression of relief. "Then let us prepare for Florence. Every moment counts." The wheels were set in motion, their perilous journey to the plague-ridden city about to begin. Florence, 1349. The stench of sickness clung to the air, a palpable reminder of the plague's relentless grip. Brother Thomas, his heart pounding against his ribs, adjusted his spectacles and reached for the iron knocker. Beside him, Lady Isabella fidgeted with her rosary, her face pale beneath her silken veil. This was it, the workshop of Maestro Giovanni Battista. A gruff voice echoed from within. "State your purpose." The door remained bolted, the only sign of life a narrow slit that revealed a pair of keen, assessing eyes. Battista was known for his guarded nature, a necessary precaution in these uncertain times. Brother Thomas raised his voice, attempting to project an air of calm authority. "I am Brother Thomas Aquinas of the Benedictine Order. I seek your knowledge, Maestro Battista. I possess fragments of an ancient text, one that speaks of possibilities." A long moment of silence stretched, punctuated only by the distant cries of the sick. Then, with a groan of protesting hinges, the door swung inward, revealing the interior of Battista's workshop. The air hung thick with the pungent aromas of herbs, chemicals, and something indefinably ancient. Glass alembics bubbled over sputtering flames, casting dancing shadows across the walls. Shelves groaned under the weight of countless jars, their contents ranging from dried roots to glistening powders. Brother Thomas and Lady Isabella exchanged a nervous glance before stepping inside. The heavy door slammed shut behind them, plunging them into the heart of Battista's enigmatic world. Battista gestured for Brother Thomas to present the parchment. He took it with calloused hands, his dark eyes scanning the fragmented text with unnerving speed. A flicker of recognition crossed his face, quickly masked by a carefully neutral expression. Lady Isabella, ever vigilant, watched Battista with hawkish intensity. She trusted no one, especially not in a city consumed by desperation and fear. Her hand instinctively moved to the small dagger hidden beneath her silken gown. "Orem vidi," Battista murmured, his voice a low rasp. "So the whispers are true, you seek the elixir of life." He paused, his gaze locking with Brother Thomas's. "And you believe I can help you?" Brother Thomas swallowed hard, forcing himself to meet Battista's piercing gaze. "We have reason to believe you possess knowledge that could complete the text, knowledge that could save lives." Battista turned away, resuming his pacing, his movements deliberate and measured. "Saving lives is a noble ambition, Brother Thomas, but such power comes at a price. Are you prepared to pay it?" Brother Thomas exchanged a look with Lady Isabella. The weight of their quest settled upon them, heavy and undeniable. "We are," he said, his voice firm, "whatever the cost." The Florentine air, thick with the scent of herbs and decay, pressed heavily upon Brother Thomas. Days had bled into nights as he, Lady Isabella, and Maestro Giovanni wrestled with the fragmented text. Each symbol was a labyrinth, each phrase a riddle wrapped in the arcane language of alchemy. Lady Isabella, despite her noble upbringing, possessed a keen intellect and a remarkable grasp of languages. Her knowledge of Latin proved invaluable, helping to unravel some of the more obscure passages. Maestro Giovanni, the seasoned alchemist, brought his intimate knowledge of ingredients and processes to bear. Yet, even his expertise was tested by the text's deliberate obfuscation. "This is no mere recipe book," he grumbled one evening, "but a test of worthiness." The symbols danced before Brother Thomas's eyes. He recognized common alchemical signs, the sun, the moon, various metals, but their arrangement defied easy interpretation. He muttered prayers under his breath, seeking divine guidance in this earthly endeavor. Isabella, with her sharp eyes, noticed a recurring pattern, the placement of specific constellations mentioned alongside obscure references to Gallic herbs. "Could it be a geographical cipher?" she suggested one night, her voice barely a whisper. "Gallic herbs," Maestro Giovanni exclaimed, his eyes widening. "Paris, the Hortus Sanitatis Parisensis. It's a well-known medieval encyclopedia on medicinal plants compiled in Paris. We must consult it." Paris? The name hung in the air, heavy with possibility and peril. Brother Thomas knew that Paris, like Florence, was gripped by the plague. The journey would be fraught with danger, but the potential reward, the key to completing the Aurum Vitae recipe, was too great to ignore. Isabella, despite the risks, remained steadfast. Her family's fate rested upon their success. She was ready to face any hardship to find the Aurum Vitae. Maestro Giovanni, ever practical, began preparing for the journey. He gathered his tools, his knowledge, and a grim determination to succeed. Before embarking, Brother Thomas sought solace in prayer. He prayed for guidance, for strength, and for the wisdom to use the Aurum Vitae for good, should they succeed in their quest. Together the trio prepared to face the dangers ahead. The destination was clear, Paris, but the path, shrouded in plague and uncertainty, remained to be seen. As the sun rose, casting a pale light upon the ravaged city, Brother Thomas, Lady Isabella, and Maestro Giovanni turned their faces towards Paris, their hearts filled with a mixture of hope and trepidation. The quest for the Aurum Vitae continued, leading them deeper into the heart of the plague's darkness. The journey from Florence had been arduous, the threat of bandits and the ever-present shadow of the plague a constant companion. But Paris, with its promise of further clues to the Aurum Vitae, beckoned. The city gates loomed, a formidable barrier against the encroaching darkness, both literal and metaphorical. "Paris is not Florence," Giovanni warned, his voice low, barely audible above the tavern's din. "Here, the pursuit of alchemy is more competitive. There are others who seek what we seek, and they are not as scrupulous as we are." Isabella watched the market below, a chaotic tapestry of life and commerce. She knew the risks they faced, but the hope of saving her family spurred her onward, even in this unfamiliar and potentially hostile city. Thomas immersed himself in the texts, searching for any mention of Parisian alchemists who might hold a piece of the Aurum Vitae puzzle. He felt a growing sense of unease, a premonition that their presence in Paris had not gone unnoticed. Giovanni, using his knowledge of the Parisian underworld, sought information about their rivals. He moved through the city's shadows, a ghost in the night, gathering whispers and rumors. Isabella, despite the danger, insisted on visiting the alchemist shops herself. Her noble bearing and knowledge of herbs often yielded information that others missed. Thomas, ever vigilant, shadowed her, a silent guardian in the Parisian maze. Unbeknownst to them, their every move was being watched. A rival faction, led by a ruthless alchemist known only as the Serpent, had been tracking them since their arrival in Paris. They desired the Aurum Vitae for their own selfish ambitions. Giovanni, recalling whispers of a hidden alchemical workshop beneath the city, led them into the catacombs. The labyrinthine tunnels offered a chance to evade their pursuers, but also held unknown dangers. The catacombs yielded a secret, a forgotten workshop, filled with the tools and symbols of a long-dead alchemist. Thomas felt a thrill of discovery, a sense that they were on the right path. Their sanctuary was short-lived. The Serpent's men, having tracked them through the city, ambushed them in the catacombs. A desperate fight for survival ensued. Giovanni, despite his age, fought with surprising ferocity, protecting Thomas and Isabella from the attackers. He knew that their quest, and perhaps their lives, depended on their escape. They managed to escape, disappearing into the labyrinthine depths of the catacombs. But the encounter left them shaken, and the knowledge that they were being hunted fueled their determination to uncover the secrets of the Aurum Vitae before the Serpent could. Paris, 1350. Brother Thomas sought solace in prayer, but unease gnawed at his soul. Whispers had reached him, carried on the wind like the plague itself. Whispers of the church's growing scrutiny. Isabella, ever perceptive, sensed his distress. "Thomas, what troubles you?" she asked, her voice soft but firm. He hesitated, then spoke of rumors, of accusations of heresy. Giovanni, upon hearing the news, ceased his work. "The Church sees heresy in all things they do not understand," he grumbled. "Immortality in their eyes is a challenge to God's divine plan." Thomas felt the weight of the accusations. He was a scholar, a man of God. He sought knowledge, not defiance. Yet the Aurum Vitae was a dangerous secret, one that could easily be misconstrued. "We will not be deterred," Isabella declared, her voice ringing with conviction. "We know the truth of our intentions. We seek to alleviate suffering, not to usurp God's power." Giovanni nodded. "The work must continue, but with caution. We must be discreet, avoid attracting unwanted attention. The Church's reach is long, and its arm unforgiving." Thomas, shrouded in his simple habit, attempted to lose himself in the throng of Paris. He felt eyes upon him, imagined whispers following his every step, paranoia or a premonition of danger. Isabella, shedding her noble attire for more humble garb, acted as Thomas's protector, her keen eyes scanning the streets for any sign of pursuit. She was a shield against the storm. In his workshop, Giovanni destroyed any documents that might incriminate them, erasing their trail. The alchemist, ever pragmatic, understood the need for discretion in a world consumed by fear and suspicion. Deep beneath the city, in a secret chamber known only to Giovanni, they convened. The hunt for the Aurum Vitae would continue, but now they were fugitives, hunted by the very institution Thomas had dedicated his life to serving. Isabella pointed to a location on the map. "There is an abbey in Burgundy," she stated. "A forgotten place, rumored to hold ancient texts. It might hold the next piece of the puzzle." Their faces grim, Thomas and Giovanni exchanged a look. Burgundy was a risk, but they had no choice. The pursuit of the Aurum Vitae and the shadow of the Church drove them onward into the unknown. The Parisian air hung thick with anticipation, a stark contrast to the grim reality outside. Weeks of tireless research had finally yielded a breakthrough. Brother Thomas traced the words on the ancient text, a sense of profound excitement mixed with trepidation. Lady Isabella stood close by, her presence a constant source of motivation. The potential to save her family fueled her determination, eclipsing even the inherent risks. Maestro Giovanni, his expertise invaluable, confirmed their findings. The elusive tears of the dragon, the final, crucial ingredient, was within reach. But acquiring it will be perilous, Giovanni warned, his voice grave. The tears are harvested from a rare flower that grows only in the most ravaged parts of the city, where the plague holds dominion. Thomas felt a knot of unease tighten in his stomach. The thought of deliberately venturing into the heart of the plague was terrifying, a test of his faith and commitment. Isabella, however, displayed no hesitation. "Then we must go," she declared, her voice ringing with resolve. "My family's lives depend on it." The city's outer districts were a desolate wasteland, a grim testament to the plague's devastating power. The air itself seemed to carry the weight of death. Thomas, his senses heightened, navigated the treacherous streets. Each step was a gamble, each breath a potential brush with death. Isabella, though visibly shaken by the horrors around them, pressed on, her unwavering resolve a beacon in the encroaching darkness. Giovanni, his knowledge of herbs and remedies proving invaluable, guided them through the labyrinthine streets, his senses alert for any sign of the tears of the dragon. Finally, amidst the despair, a glimmer of hope. A small patch of vibrant purple flowers, the tears of the dragon, bloomed defiantly, their delicate beauty a testament to life's enduring power. Thomas carefully gathered the precious flowers, a sense of profound gratitude washing over him. The final ingredient was in their grasp, but the true test lay ahead. The air in Maestro Giovanni's workshop crackled with anticipation. After months of relentless pursuit, the final stage of preparing the Aurum Vitae had arrived. Brother Thomas, guided by Giovanni's instructions, carefully combined the last of the ingredients, the pungent aroma filling the room. Lady Isabella watched with bated breath, her hopes pinned on the success of this endeavor. The fate of her family, and perhaps her own life, seemed to hinge on the contents of that glass vessel. The air was thick with anticipation, the silence broken only by the gentle hiss of the bubbling liquid. Maestro Giovanni, his weathered face illuminated by the flickering fire, monitored the reaction with practiced scrutiny. Years of study and experimentation had led him to this moment, the culmination of a lifelong pursuit. He knew that the slightest misstep could ruin everything. Slowly the mixture transformed, shifting from a dull brown to a vibrant, shimmering gold. The liquid began to emit a soft, ethereal glow, illuminating the workshop with an otherworldly light. The Aurum Vitae was complete. With trembling hands, Brother Thomas carefully poured a measure of the elixir into a small glass vial. The weight of the moment settled upon him, the potential consequences of their creation weighing heavily on his conscience. He knew that this was not just a potion, it was a profound responsibility. Lady Isabella reached for the vial, her eyes filled with a desperate hope. She envisioned a future where her family was healed, where the shadow of the plague no longer loomed over their lives. The elixir represented a chance at redemption, a chance to cheat death itself. Maestro Giovanni, however, watched with a grave expression. He had spent a lifetime studying the secrets of life and death, and he knew that true immortality was not a matter of alchemy, but of understanding the delicate balance of nature. Brother Thomas reread the ancient texts, a sudden realization dawning upon him. The Aurum Vitae was not simply a recipe for physical immortality, but a metaphor for understanding the cyclical nature of life and death. The true elixir lay not in escaping death, but in accepting its inevitability. Isabella listened intently as Brother Thomas explained his revelation. The initial glimmer of hope in her eyes slowly faded, replaced by a thoughtful contemplation. She began to understand that true healing came not from evading death, but from embracing life and making the most of the time they had. Maestro Giovanni nodded in agreement. He had long suspected this truth, but it was Brother Thomas's insight that finally crystallized the idea. The pursuit of immortality was a fool's errand, a distraction from the true purpose of life. With a sense of peace, Brother Thomas poured the remaining elixir back into the alembic. The quest for the Aurum Vitae had come to an end, not with the triumph of immortality, but with the acceptance of mortality. Maestro Giovanni, with a swift movement, shattered the alembic, the golden liquid splattering across the stone floor. The pursuit was over. What remained was the understanding of life, death, and the preciousness of the time in between. Their journey had not yielded immortality, but wisdom. The weight of their discovery settled heavily upon Brother Thomas. The Aurum Vitae, the elixir of life, lay within their grasp. Yet the faces of the dead, the horrors of the plague, flashed before his eyes. Was this truly a gift or a curse in disguise? Lady Isabella wrestled with her own desires. The elixir could save her family, restore her lineage. But at what cost? Could she condemn others to suffering while she and her loved ones lived on, untouched by mortality? Maestro Giovanni, the man who dedicated his life to uncovering the secrets of alchemy, felt the pull of his own mortality. The elixir offered him a chance to transcend his earthly limitations, to continue his research for centuries to come. But the potential for misuse haunted him. Giovanni, Brother Thomas began, his voice heavy with deliberation. We must consider the implications. This power, it could corrupt even the most virtuous soul. My family, they are weakening, Lady Isabella replied, her voice barely a whisper. But I see your wisdom, Brother Thomas. A kingdom of immortals is a twisted mockery of God's design. Maestro Giovanni, after a moment of silence, spoke, his voice raspy with age and a newfound acceptance. I pursued knowledge, but I failed to grasp wisdom. The true elixir is not in evading death, but in how we choose to live. With a heavy heart, Brother Thomas reached for the vellum scrolls containing the recipe for the Aurum Vitae. He knew what must be done. The potion glowed briefly before being engulfed in flames. The knowledge was destroyed. As the last of the scrolls turned to ash, a profound silence filled the workshop. The dream of immortality was gone, replaced by a newfound understanding of life's true purpose. Brother Thomas returned to his calling, tending to the sick and offering solace to the dying. He found meaning not in defying death, but in easing suffering. Lady Isabella devoted her wealth and influence to rebuilding her community, providing aid to those who had lost everything. She learned that true nobility lay not in eternal life, but in selfless service. Maestro Giovanni channeled his alchemical knowledge into healing the sick, creating remedies to alleviate their suffering. He found fulfillment in using his skills to improve the lives of others, accepting the natural cycle of life and death. The quest for the Aurum Vitae had ended, but their journey had just begun.